A lot of you guys think you have friends. And I'm here to tell you that you don't have as many friends as you think. We all go through life being betrayed, backstabbed. Sometimes you ask yourself, is it really just me existing in the world? Am I truly alone? You ever been alone in a crowd? You have a bunch of people around you, but you feel alone. You feel invisible. It's one thing to be actually physically alone in your bed at home in the dark, contemplating, running through the thoughts of life and pondering life alone, literally. Then there's a whole other aspect of being alone in a crowd. You have to be in some kind of mental space to be alone in the crowd, to be detached and to you have to accept the fact, especially if you guys aren't going to test your friendship. When I say test your friendship, put people to the test to see if they're actually a real ally or not. If you guys aren't willing to do that, there's a good possibility that you don't have as many friends as you think you do. And you must accept to a degree that you have to depend on yourself to get these things done on a consistent basis. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have self-esteem, if you don't love yourself, you're going to have trouble maneuvering in this world, especially if you consistently come across backstabbers and liars and deceivers. I want to talk about today the story of Jesus. And I know some of you guys aren't super religious, and I'm not super religious either as I used to be. I was raised in the church, so these stories are really I know these stories pretty well. Whether you believe in the story or whether you believe in a religion or not is not the point of it. I want to bring up these stories because despite if you believe in the religion or not, the Bible has a lot of stories and fables and that are really, you can take a lot of game and learn some things from. And so before we get into that story about Jesus, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the video if you like the video. If you guys want to support all the ways you can in the description below. The story of Jesus is pretty tragic if you ask me. Yes, he came back and rose on the third day, but while he was living, it was a life of toil, a life of betrayal, a life of consistent disappointment, a life of consistently being told you're the bad person, being alienated by society. And so for you Christians out there, if you're not feeling that way, there's something wrong, because you have to be, Jesus himself was radical. He stood for something. He was threatening society's balance, which is why he got crucified. But that's not what I want to talk about. Jesus dealt with a lot of betrayal and backstabbing from the Gentiles to the different groups of people, noticing their behaviors and how much they deceive each other and trying to deceive him. Then there's another level to it. He gathers up the disciples, the 12 disciples, and these are your equivalent to your close friends, or your friends, or what you would say. And then he got betrayed by them. Judas, Peter denied him 3 times. And so Jesus ultimately, on his crucifixion day, where he went through some of the worst stuff known to man, none of his disciples, supporters, only his mother is the only one that showed up and showed any kind of remorse for him. And that's sad. Jesus himself, who's the, knower of all things and helped humanity, sacrificed himself to help humanity. Nobody truly felt the same about him, and he knew that, and he went around it and did it anyway. Which is the story of a lot of men in the military. They go out and fight for the country, knowing that there's a portion of the country that doesn't like violence and what doesn't like troops, right? So they go out and get PTSD, go out and fight these wars for rich people that can't fight it themselves, and they're the ones that have to bear the burden. They're the ones that get forgotten by society. They're the ones that have their legs blown off and arms blown off, and people in society just don't care. And that's a tragic reality for a lot of men, which is another reason why a lot of men are lonely. A lot of people are checking out. It's because they realized this, and this is a harsh truth. So guys, I want you guys to think about for a second, and you guys need to really grasp what I'm trying to say. I'm sure your father, I'm sure your uncles, I'm sure some older men around you have told you something similar. Even your mother. Think about all the people that left you that you didn't think would leave you. Sometimes it's so bad that it stems from childhood. Maybe your father left you and you never really healed that wound. Maybe it was your mother that left you. Maybe it was both of them that left you. You were adopted, put in the orphanage. Those are things you never get over. Those are things that you never, sometimes you don't even get the answers to it as to why that went a certain way. But you got that level of people leaving you, which can harm a child for the rest of his life. And then you have friends, high school people, maybe you knew grew up, that you thought would be there all the time, would be there with you all the time. And they turned their back on you. They turned their back on you and betrayed you and lied on you and told you they would and ended up cheating on you. Or whenever I say cheating on you, I mean women. I was gonna get that in a second, but some of your own people that you grew up with in a sandbox betrayed you. Couldn't believe it. They were the same person that slept with your wife or slept with your girlfriend behind your back, and you thought they would never do anything like that. That's a different kind of heartbreak. And then, just dealing with women alone, dealing with their amount of deception and lies and trying to filter through all of that, that's one thing as well too. Because how many times have you been in a long-term relationship and she breaks up the relationship and you're trying to sit there and figure out what did you do wrong, and you didn't do anything wrong. She was just wanting another man, or she was pushing you away because she didn't want the relationship anymore, or you guys got divorced and she didn't really love you in the first place and she just wanted the money, so she divorced you and got all of the money. Look at Iman Shumpert, wrung him dry, hung him out to dry. Women get into these relationships and get into marriages. They tell the pastor, "Hey, I do, in sickness and health, to death do us part," and then they'll go out to girls' nights out and sleep with somebody else and betray your trust. People in long-term relationships. I remember a woman told me in high school, she said she would never cheat on me, and then she ended up cheating on me. That's the kind of stuff we deal with on a consistent basis on this planet. So shout out to the Satan Center. He said something that's really profound that I think fits this moment. Peace to the saints. He basically said betrayal, heartbreak is a part of life. And this won't be the first and it won't be the last time that you get heartbroken. Now it's time to wise up as you go through these situations so you don't go through this on a consistent basis. But this is what we're dealing with in society. This is what we're dealing with, and we have to, the realities that we have to come to conclusion with and deal with, and figure out a way to handle as men. You know, superheroes hinted at it. You know, your father through his man cave, they always find some kind of sense of solitude. That's why they get a dog, and that's why they go out and fish. Is because that's their coping mechanism for dealing with the fickle nature of people. So this is what we're dealing with on this planet, guys. And I just wanted to make this video because you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only person that thinks you're alone. I feel the same way, and I'm trying to build a channel and a community eventually where we can share the same ideas, and you know, you have a safe place to be yourself. But that was my video. You guys have a good day, a good week. I appreciate you guys consistently supporting me, watching my videos. I highly appreciate it. I can't do it without you guys. I want to thank you guys. So see you guys in the next one, man. Peace.